Hey everybody, I'm Blank Forms. Today I'm going to talk about the Digitakt and specifically what it can do with like high frequency textures, hi-hats, shakers, things like that, how I like to make them, and all the sort of magical things you can do to keep them swimming, keep them alive. I'm going to start stock clap sound on number 4 here. I'm going to change that up straight away. Go to one of the tape samples I have made that you can get in my sample packs, plug. Okay, amp envelope. I'm going to turn that into a shakery sort of a shape. Next up, I'm going to filter out some of the low stuff. Feels pretty good. Maybe turn that up a bit. Great. Now I'm going to go to the sequencer and put those all in, which I already have, but just for tutorial's sake, I'll do it again. All right, so now it's rolling. First, I'm just going to play sort of like how the different amp envelope shapes can change how this feels. Shorter, longer, a favorite of mine, long attacks. And so on. I'll go to something a little more normal. Okay, another thing I like to do, since it's a fairly long sample, is sweep through and find a sweet spot to start with. Pretty nice right there. Okay. Now I'm going to start up with the LFOs, which can do a lot of great stuff with this. First, LFO on, let's go with that amp envelope. We'll start with decay time. I'm going to move the LFO to an unsynced pace. And get it going here. A little slower than that. Alright, so you can hear it's changing the amp envelope decay time, and with this then you can sort of offset it. You can pick sort of where the center point is. That's pretty nice, right about there. You can have it be more extreme. Similar effect. Let's switch it to the attack time. I really like how that affects how it fits into the subdivisions of time. So for example, we'll add a kick here. Bit loud. Alright, so pretty nice already. Next up, I want to apply that LFO to the sample start spot. Right there, so now it's going to be starting in different places. You can see it moving it around. Make it smaller. So now we get a nice bit of variation in the overall sort of tone of the noise with each one. We'll go a little shorter. Filter out some stuff. And maybe give it a little resonance. Another thing that can be fun, kind of skipped over this earlier, is playing with the tuning. Huge variations just from one noise sample. And finally, for the LFO, it can also be fun to put the LFO in panning. Where are you? There you are. This is also something you can do after the fact if you track this out. Pull it into a DAW like live and use AutoPan. So oftentimes I'll use this LFO for something more expressive and save that for the DAW, but this can be fun to do in the Digitakt as well. Also, worth pointing out, you can get this moving super fast, audio rates, which is fun. Extreme panning. Okay, now, similar things, but I'm going to randomize. So let's say we'll go back to that attack time. You can hear moving that around. Sometimes it takes a minute to find the sweet spot. Now, similar idea. Let's go to the decay time. Next up, sample start. I use this one a lot. You can see it's bouncing around where it starts. The tone becomes really unpredictable, which even in these short settings is helpful, even though it's subtle. Keeps it really moving, unpredictable. All right, now I'll put it back to something a little less crazy. Let's see. Maybe I'll go back to attack time. It's pretty nice. Find the sweet spot here. And a little more subtle. Okay, so next up, I'm going to dive into the sequencer and randomize whether they play. Go into here, I'm in first menu, pick one. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Well, I'll leave that. And let's go 75%. All right, copy that, paste. And so now, if I've done that right, it should be somewhat randomized whether they play. You're going to get occasional rests. Add this in for fun. All right, next up, samples and changing them in the sequencer itself. So for example, we'll go over here and change the tuning of a few of them. Maybe I'll change the panning. Oops, wrong one. And this can of course be a lot more thoughtful than what I'm doing right now. I'm just sort of throwing some randomness in there. Also filtering, why not? All right, we've already got a ton of life happening here, a ton of unpredictability, just by using those LFOs, and a bit of the sequencer tricks that are so sort of like classic for what people do with Elektron gear. And then finally, I advocate this with nearly everything you do. With the Digitakt, obviously you want to save. I'm going to do that so I don't lose this. And then I love to take these, what feels like a finished beat, and just really mess it up with changing overall settings. Mostly on this page. So for example, I'm going to hold this, and I'm going to mess with the tuning. All right, next up, how about direction? That can be especially nice if you start moving around the start time. Also, let's try looping these, and then all right, so a ton you can do just starting with a noise sample, creating hi-hats, shakers, what have you. Thanks everybody for checking this out. Remember, follow me on Instagram, hit the like and subscribe here, and also you can find my music anywhere you listen to music.